Friends, good afternoon. My name is David Hope-Jones. I'm the Chief Executive of the Scotland-Malawi Partnership. Welcome to everyone, but especially welcome to Minister Neil Gray MSP, the Minister for Culture, Europe and International Development. We have just 45 minutes for this afternoon's meeting, so please, my apologies for talking relatively quickly and being ruthless in the timekeeping for today. We really want to give a clear briefing for Minister Gray on the breadth and the depth and the energy, the impact and vitality of the bilateral relationship in the 45 minutes that we've got. This afternoon's meeting is co-hosted between the SNP here in Scotland and MaSP in Malawi. So I will turn in a moment to my counterpart in Malawi, Stella, for her introductions. But I want to say first, my sincere thanks to everyone for your understanding about the change in time of today's meeting. I appreciate that moving the meeting forward by 3 hours just the day beforehand is inconvenient for a great many, and roughly about half of the people have booked in I know aren't going to be able to attend today. But I absolutely recognise and respect the pressures on the Minister's diaries and the fact that parliamentary timescales can and do change beyond Ministers' control. So I thought it's better to stick with today's date rather than pushing back potentially as far as the autumn. But thank you for your understanding. I've just got maybe 2.5 minutes or so to say a few overarching words about the bilateral relationship before we get stuck into the meeting, and probably 3 things that I really want to flag up for the Minister. The first is that the scale and energy of civic links between Scotland and Malawi. Minister, I'm sure you've heard this statistic already, but roughly 45% of Scots can name a friend or family member with a connection to Malawi. In the last year, there were 385 pieces in the Scottish media about Malawi, the overwhelming majority being positive in tone. The SNP has over 1,300 members now, and by member numbers, that makes it the biggest cross-community international development, not just in Scotland, but in all of the UK. Over 1 million Twitter impressions last year, 50 events and key engagements attended by over 2,500. 91% of whom rated excellent or very good, and 95% said that work was really helping in tangible ways their links with Malawi. And essentially what we exist to do as a network is to look at each of the different pieces of the jigsaw in the bilateral relationship and think, how do we act strategically to support, to develop, to grow, to innovate, to coordinate all of the different bits? And that means working reactively and proactively. Just as an example, in the last 24 hours, we've listened to the Malawi Paralympic Committee telling through MaSP us just how much pressure they were under with their budget. We were able to connect them with one of our members and corporate partners, and potentially we've doubled the operating budget of the Malawi Paralympic Committee just by connecting different organizations together. Similarly, in the last 24 hours, we've been approached by LGBT groups in Malawi. We've brokered new partnerships with counterpart groups in Scotland. We've secured funding as a result of that for Malawi's 2nd ever Pride Festival. So every day is different, every day is exciting, and it taps into the energy, the expertise and enthusiasm across both our nations. The second point, and more briefly, I want to make is about the constructive synergy between what happens at a civic society level, what the government does. For every £1 the Scottish Government puts into the Scotland-Malawi Partnership, more than £200 comes from Scottish civic society. And that's what today's meeting is all about. It's about getting those connections between the governmental and the civic. And my final point, and this is where I'll close, is about the spirit of partnership between Scotland and Malawi, as epitomised by the relationship between MaSP and the SNP. We're 2 sides of the same coin. We're mutually accountable. At the beginning of each month, we listen to each other's priorities. We ask each other, what do you want to achieve this month? And we work to support each other on that basis. And in that principle, let me hand over to my counterpart in Malawi, the CEO of MaSP, Stella Masangano. Stella, over to you.
Thank you so much, David. Indeed, we are in this energized partnership and collaboration. That is to quote Minister's words as per the meeting we had yesterday. Let me recognize presence of the Malawi High Commissioner to the UK, Dr. Bisika. You're welcome. Honorable Minister, the MaSP membership is so proud that you are here to reach out to us, and they did indicate to me that I should welcome and congratulate you for your ascendance to the position of Minister for Europe, Culture, International Development, as well as responsible for Ukrainian refugees. Congratulations, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, the MaSP membership is big. We have a database of around 460 members. All of them are active members, and some of them have grants, big grants. You heard yesterday from the members who are holding bigger grants of the impact that this partnership is having on the most vulnerable groups of people. We also have members that have smaller grants, also making positive impact on the ground. We also have members that have links with individuals. We have religious links. We have heavy twinning, and many more links that they have. Just recently, I was invited to attend a donation that was made by some Scottish students, youth. They donated bags of fertilizer to a certain community. That is a demonstration that the Scottish people are our brothers, they are our sisters. They are there to support us. Honorable Minister, the members of the Malawi Scotland Partnership, they continue to enjoy the capacity building, because some of the members, they don't necessarily have the links with Scotland, but using the resources that the Scottish government do channel to us, even through the SMP, we have different capacity building interventions. We train members as well as those ones who don't necessarily have links in various areas. As we are aware, Honorable Minister, we have a lot of gaps in terms of capacity. So here from this side, we continue to enjoy the technical expertise that we share between ourselves and SMP. Honorable Minister, I would like to make mention that this partnership that we have has indeed have a very positive impact on the ground. You heard from the grant holders that they have reached so many vulnerable people, or so many vulnerable women and children using the various interventions that we have. So to me, I call this partnership as communityship, and the approach that we have between SMP, the Scottish government, this side Malawi government, MaSP, is something that we need to hold on to it and ensure that we closely work together and deliver projects using the expertise from that side. Where we have gaps this side, we continue to ask to say, we don't understand this, please help us. For example, Honorable Minister, we have gaps in terms of technology. We have, of course, some projects that are being delivered by some of our members to help students to understand how to use computers. So some of those interventions are very important. And also, if you look at the model that we have with SMP and ourselves, I've worked over 15 years, but I've never come across a model that is more workable. The working relationship that we have is something that we share information, we share expertise. For example, Honorable Minister, let also make mention of this, that when we are bothered by the COVID, of course, the Scottish government, we should be grateful. They came to us and they gave amount of money, £600,000. At the same time, SMP mobilized its membership and some Scottish well-wishers, and they helped us with cylinders. Malawi at that time had run short of cylinders, which was like a deathbed. If you're sick, you have COVID, you go to the hospital, there are no oxygen cylinders. But SMP assisted us. Honorable Minister, I should also be thankful to you on behalf of the entire membership. When Storm Anna hit us very hard, you instructed, you donated through the Scottish government under your leadership. You gave us £400,000, which was also something that we should be thankful. At the same time, we, together with SMP, we sat down and brainstormed on some of the gaps that are there. And together, we've managed to come up, we are in the process of coming up with strategies on how maybe we can advocate to the government to say, let's fill these gaps. Learning maybe from Scotland, learning from other countries that are doing very well in terms of handling such emergencies. Honorable Minister, let me stop here. I have only 2.5, maybe I've even exhausted that. Honorable Minister, and also His Excellency, the High Commissioner to Malawi, thank you so much.
Wonderful, Stella. Thank you very much indeed for your opening remarks. And now let me turn to the Minister. Minister Neil Gray, if you're there, over to you for your opening remarks.
Thank you very much indeed, David, and thank you to Stella. Wonderful to be able to be here today. I'm very sorry at the outset for the change in time, and I appreciate everybody's flexibility. It's wonderful to look around the virtual room and already to be able to see so many familiar faces from meetings that I've already been able to take part in, including with the High Commissioner, Mr. Basika. I was fortunate and honoured to meet in London a couple of weeks ago. Thomas, it's lovely to see you again. I hope you are well, and looking forward to continue to build our relationship. I want to say, first of all, good afternoon. Moi souhait la buanji to everybody. And first of all, I'd like to thank the Malawi Scotland Partnership and the Scotland-Malawi Partnership for organising today's event. It truly is an honour to be here with you today, to be able to hear the work that you are engaged in collectively and individually from David and Stella there. It really is inspiring. For those of you who I haven't had the fortune to meet yet, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce myself. A great honour to be introduced, to be appointed as Minister for International Development by the First Minister, and to be entrusted with taking forward this important work with you all, take forward the hundreds of years old partnership between our great nations. And I want to begin by thanking all of you for your continued patience and understanding, given the pressures that the ongoing crisis in Ukraine has exerted on the newer part of my ministerial portfolio. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to engage in the meetings with value partners as I would have liked to have done up until this point through events such as this that have been delayed, and for that I am very sorry. But I hope that you're aware that the increased pressures on my time due to Ukraine does not in any way reflect any reduction in mine or the Scottish Government's commitment to our relationships with partner countries such as Malawi. And despite many ongoing challenges over the last year, our support for Malawi has not wavered. Where possible, we've continued to provide support that Stella has already outlined regarding COVID's response, and also £400,000 to support the response to Tropical Storm Anna, allowed by the Malawian Red Cross, the relief partner that was designated by the government of Malawi. And I don't say that in looking for gratitude, although the words that Stella outlined is appreciated. I think it's important that we continue to recognise the ongoing partnership of progress for both our nations together, the learning that is required for both of us, both Scotland and Malawi going forward, and the real genuine partnership approach that the review into our global sustainable development work exemplified, and the fact that the response to Tropical Storm Anna was led, our support was led by the government of Malawi, hopefully exemplifies the continued need and understanding of a partnership, a genuine partnership approach for our relationship to continue to grow. And with that, I would like to also take this opportunity to extend my thoughts and sincere condolences on behalf of the Scottish Government to those who have been affected by the devastating impact of the floods. I cannot imagine how challenging a period it has been for you all. I'd also like to take a moment to set out some of the Scottish Government's priorities for the year ahead in relation to global sustainable development. As our current programmes enter their final year of funding, implementation of the outcome of the 2021 review will remain our key priority. This will include designing our future programmes in Malawi, Zambia and Rwanda. At the same time, at the centre of this, I want to ensure that we are focused on the priorities and needs of our partner countries as we look to shift power to the Global South. And I've therefore held a number of meetings over recent weeks with key partners, including the Government of Malawi's High Commission to the UK. And again, I welcome Thomas to this meeting. This year we have also committed to establish the Global South Programme panel and to set up a new Women and Girls Empowerment Fund to support local organisations to promote the equality and rights of women and girls in our partner countries. This will ensure ongoing small project grant support for CSOs in our partner countries, but now directly funding them in the same way we currently fund women's leadership projects under Levelling the Field, the programme we co-fund with Comet Relief, supporting women and young people in our partner countries to have their voices heard. Another key area where I'm keen to support and amplify Global South voices is on the issue of COVID-19 vaccine equity. It's vital that we stand in solidarity with our partners in the Global South to continue to push for meaningful progress on creating the conditions for equitable access to vaccines. The Scottish Government, where possible, will continue to speak out and work collaboratively with partners to support on this issue, and work is ongoing in government to see what more we could do to make sure we're putting pressure on internationally. Finally, I would like to personally thank all of you for your continued commitment to the special relationship between our two countries. In these really challenging times, we appreciate now more than ever the role you have all played in supporting work in Malawi and developing civic links between our two countries. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank MaSP and the SNP for the networking role both organisations play to support these valuable links. And as a Minister for Scotland, I am proud that the connections between our two countries that we're building every day are helping to change lives and transform communities. These connections would not exist without the passion and dedication you all bring to the table. So I look forward to hearing from you all today on the fantastic work that's been supported through Malawi Scotland relationship. Zikomo Kwambiri, and thank you.
Minister, thank you very much indeed. You've set out very eloquently your priorities, your principles, desire to listen to Malawi, and your pride in those civic links. So thank you very much for all of that. And I'm keen to say we don't take for granted the support from successive Scottish governments, that far-sighted investment in these civic links, as well as the directly funded work that make all of this possible. Minister, we wanted to give you a flavour of the civic links that are there. We're not going to give you profiles of all 1,500 members or so between our two networks, but we're going to pick just maybe a few at the Scottish side and a few at the Malawian side that Stella will introduce. Please don't be offended if you've not been picked. It's not favouritism. It's just simply a randomised selection, and I'm delighted to pass over first to Sam Ross from Link. Sam, over to you.
Hi, are you able to see my slides? Possibly not.
It's just upcoming. Yes,
yeah, there you are. Yeah,
great.
Can see you now, Sam.
Okay, I will go. So we're Link Education. We have a small team based in Edinburgh, but work in Ethiopia, Uganda and Malawi, most importantly today. And we use Scottish and Malawian expertise to really strengthen the whole education system for sustainable and scalable change in Malawi. For example, building resilience in schools to climate change. We've been funded by the Scottish Government since 2006. I'm just trying to move my slides on, it's not working. And currently have two projects, one funded by UK Aid, and that's supporting 5,000 marginalised out of school girls, including 1,000 of which who have some kind of disability, to gain foundational literacy and numeracy and life skills such as sexual reproductive health and rights, and also support these girls to transition onto either primary school or to some kind of vocational work. So it could be tailoring, it could be some kind of irrigation, agricultural support. Our next project in Malawi is complementary to this one, and that is part of the Levelling the Field that you just mentioned, Minister. So that's supported by Scottish Government and Comic Relief, and that's looking at the Sport for Development agenda and bringing in sexual reproductive health and rights again via netball games and tournaments, and making sure that all girls can be part of this part of the programme of sport. There's also a vocational training element linked to that, for example, drip irrigation, soy milk production, these kind of things, skills that are really needed within the local markets. And we're really pleased to say that this project has increased attendance in our learning classes, our literacy and numeracy classes, by 13% in the first part of the project. So that's a really healthy start to the project. I just wanted to share with you some results from these projects, really showing that what we're doing is working. So despite COVID, we still have 88% of the girls improve their reading skills, often from a base level of 0. 86% improved in maths, 83% improved in life skills. So we're having really good success with this project. And lastly, I just wanted to say that Link Malawi, headed up by Harold Kumbola, has been invited by the Ministry of Education to be part of several working groups with the ministry to share our learning and to influence policy. We're also part of the Climate Change Network, linking climate and education sectors, and obviously a very happy member of MaSP.
Thanks so much, Sam. That's wonderful. It's been brilliant over the last 15 years to see Link's inspiring work grow, Minister. I want to turn next to James Turing of the Turing Trust. James, over to you.
Thank you very much. So to give you a brief description of us, the Turing Trust supports education in Malawi, primarily by reusing computers and improving teacher training using ICT. From our workshop in Edinburgh, we provide skills development for Scots as well from disadvantaged backgrounds, tackling issues such as long-term unemployment, amongst others. In doing so, we reduce IT waste and contribute to an environmentally friendly society. Last year, we saved 46 tons of PCs that otherwise would have gone to waste. And we've now saved over 12,000 computers for reuse in classrooms. This means that we've also been able to offset 3,500 tons of CO2 emissions by reusing these computers. The embodied energy savings created from this reuse are also enough to power over 800 Scottish homes for a year as well. Really, I think, showing what can be done through a synergy of organisations working in Scotland and Malawi. So our work in Malawi has actually been underpinned by 2 consecutive small grants from the Scottish Government's International Development Programme, which have really been a catalyst for our small charity. From the first grant in 2016, we've made great progress in Malawi. When we first started our work in 2016, only 3% of schools had access to IT equipment in Malawi. Now we've installed 165 computer labs, primarily across the northern region, and this is equivalent to 81% of secondary schools in the northern region, where our programme began. With our second office in the Longway, we aim to see 100% of secondary schools having adequate access to IT facilities within the next few years. However, in order to achieve this vision, the support of the Scottish Government's International Development Programme will certainly be vital. And this is something that does give us a little pause, given the abrupt end of the small grants programme, and is compounded by the difficulty of smaller charities like the Turing Trust having transitioning to the large grants that can be dominated by the much bigger charities with professional grant writers and other such advantages. So if we have time today, later in today for questions, I'd love to hear the Minister's thoughts on the future direction for Scotland's smaller charities, as I believe with the government support, our small charity could help realise the vision within just a few years where we can see computing facilities in all of Malawi's secondary schools. Thank you very much.
Thanks ever so much, James. And again, it's been brilliant to see the Turing Trust evolve over time. It's probably one of the best examples, I think, of sustainably sending IT equipment to the developing world. So thanks very much, James. James got a question into his update there as well. The same invitation to others. Do pop questions in the chat box if you want to. And if we have time, we will get to those. If not, we'll pass those to officials. Please also, as many are already, do feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box as well. The final micro case study at the Scottish side before I hand over to MaSP is Andy McKay, who I'm sure, Minister, you will know well. You've been really supportive of St Margaret's High School's links. Andy, over to you.
That's not like Andy to be quiet.
Andy, if you're there, just jump in.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you loud.
Yeah,
That's great. That's great. First of all, Neil, I'd like to thank you for your support for our two most recent projects. You mentioned Stormana, and you were an instrumental part in the rebuilding of the total rebuild of one house and the total repair of another house for two of the disabled children, Precious Benny and Chiwemwe Impala. That was absolutely fantastic. Both houses are now complete, and with the extra funds we raised, with your added contribution, we've managed to pay for the reforestation and maintenance of Nansengwe Hill for an entire year. So Neil, thank you very much for that. Through the years as an MP and as an MSP, before you took a new role, you've been very supportive, you know, especially our partnership with CDSS, which is the lowest attainment and the lowest female attendance, now has the highest in Malawi. Your role in helping us supply all the secondary schools in Malawi just about with laptops and projectors, you know, through donations for local companies, and, you know, sending the lessons over for those to be displayed in all the schools, which is absolutely fantastic. Now we're coming back onto our work with 125 rural nurseries, working with Sisarana and our CCC Trust with over 6,500 children who are fed each day. Again, your support has been absolutely fantastic. And you've helped us with the less kind of popular things, such as helping setting up prisons and schools and prisons, hospitals and prisons. You know, you've been a big supporter of our disabled project. You know, you spoke directly to the cleaners who helped fund the entire disabled project last year, running disabled camps and feeding over 650 children throughout the year, which is absolutely fantastic. Totally appreciated it, Neil. I noticed David picturing as the background of the wall, the 4 women linking hands. That was a project started by St Margaret's with a female farming project. But I think what I've got to thank you most for, Neil, is your support for our Mission Rabies project. Again, something not too glamorous, but, you know, rabies is a big killer. It is a world hotspot. And the fact, you know, you supported the conference we had in Malawi for all the school teachers, the conference you had for the 125 rural nurseries we mentioned, getting out to 6,500 children potentially, you know, who have families, brothers, sisters, siblings, so tens of thousands. You know, the fact that the conference we had allowed Mission Rabies to move into Cholo and eliminate that region of rabies completely is absolutely fantastic. And I think the biggest thing you've done is the fact you've agreed to meet representatives from Mission Rabies, you know, Luke Gamble, potentially Professor Richard Mellenby, to, you know, work out how we can initially get rid of rabies in Malawi and then the world. But Neil, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. You know, that was seen on Friday night, and, you know, it was good representative from your colleagues as well at the night on Friday. So say, totally rebuilt these two houses. Ironically, you know, we've managed to keep busy and we're going to get busier, you know, as thing goes on. So your report really is appreciated, as is yours, David, and the Scotland Malawi Partnership. Thanks very much, guys. Love it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Andy. And it's wonderful to have St Margaret's as one of our 250 school links that we support. And yeah, thanks particularly for the artwork that I enjoy in my study from them. I'm going to hand over to Stella now to take us through a few case studies at the Malawi side. Stella, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, David. Thank you, Minister, and Excellency Dr. Bisiga. In the interest of time, let me ask Peter Mchenga to make a presentation on the school partnership. Peter Mchenga, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stella. I am Peter Mchenga, one of the members of the board and a head teacher of a school in Malawi, which is in the southern part of Malawi. The background of school ranks in Malawi started way back when Malawi Scotland Partnership established the relationship. And as of now, we have 41 schools that are linked to Scottish schools. After the establishment of this partnership, both Malawi and Scotland have, children of both Malawi and Scotland have benefited a lot. For example, Scottish children have been providing scholarships to their fellow children in Malawi to let them to be in school, and also, Scottish children have been visiting Malawi, where they have gained the experience on hands-on experience on how life differs from life in Scotland. And at the same time, because of this, the schools in Malawi have benefited a lot and in helping improve the learning environment. For example, Class Malawi has been renovating schools and building school blocks where learners in Malawi now they are able to sit and learn in a comfortable rooms. And also we have benefited, or schools, some schools are benefiting from a school feeding program through maize meal. Maize meal is feeding over 1 million children in Malawi through porridge provision. And this has really impacted on education because it has assisted in decreasing the dropout of learners from school. And as of now, as we continue with the partnership, I think Malawian schools will still need to be supported in a number of areas, such as we are having a very long outstanding curriculum that is not relevant to modern life, and it is very important that it is government of Malawi is supported to review the curriculum and to match it with the current situation on the ground. This will help. And this will also provide an opportunity to have a curriculum and messages of climate change, corruption issues, so that learners at the tender age are able to add these things to take action, so that the country doesn't suffer anymore. And again, we also think that if we can have projects, if Scottish government can continue supporting organizations that are providing learning points for learners in Malawi, that can be also of importance, and this can really improve welfare of learners in the schools in Malawi. Lastly, teachers in Malawi only teach things from the book. We don't have skills that can identify us at their early stage, so that each and every individual learner is assisted to build his or her talents at a tender age. And this has hindered a lot of talents in Malawi that we don't compete much in activities. There was an issue of Paralympic activities. We have such children, but because we don't have skills that can enable us to assist these learners suffer a lot. These are some of the issues that are happening between the partnership which we have and the education is having in Malawi and Scotland. And we are looking forward that this will continue so that we sustain the partnership. It's only through children that we can sustain the Malawi Scotland Partnership. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Let's have Itcan Mpithi. Indeed, the school partnership is making a lot of positive impact on the education in Malawi. So let's have Itcan Mpithi from Reach Out for Life. Thank you. 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. My name is Itcan Mpithi. I am Executive Director of Reach Out for Life. Reach Out for Life is a youth organization that is based in Southern Region. Currently working in 2 districts, Blantyre and Mchenga. We focus on education, early childhood development, and health. We have a member partner in Scotland. Her name is Mary Thompson. She has been with us and helping us a lot since 2017. Since 2017, we introduced early childhood development in Mchenga, where more than 700 children have benefited so far. But at the same time, we have implemented mobile clinics in Blantyre and Mchenga. We also did a COVID-19 awareness campaign in 2020 and 2021. We have trained 10 teachers on first aid and sexual reproductive health in Blantyre. But also, in addition to that, we provide education and feeding program in Mchenga. So since then up to now, we have achieved a couple of things. In 2020, we did manage to sensitize about COVID-19 to 500 people, both local in Branta and Mchenga. But also through our first aid training we provided, we have managed to reach out to 2,500 children in Branta, Lulo. So these areas are most important areas that Reach Out for Life focuses and pay attention to. Currently, we are working. We are doing mobile. We are doing online fundraising to enable us to construct kitchen and other two classes in Mchenga. But also we are doing fundraising to have mobile phones, bicycles, and first aid equipment to support our teachers that we trained in providing first aid in their rural areas. To add on that, we also working on mobilizing resources when it comes to stationery, books, food items, and kitchen items to support our area development in Mchenga. So these are the areas that we have we are working on and what we're trying to achieve at the moment, so that we can accomplish our goals. Thank you very much. I did prepare a presentation which I will share with David by the end of the meeting, so that everyone who wants to see more about this in details or have questions, I will take ours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Itcan. Let's have Trigu from Classrooms for Malawi. Please keep your time because we are almost running short of time. Thank you. Trigu.
Yes, thank you, Stella. Your Excellency, Dr. Bisika, and the Honorable Minister, all protocols observed. As you have already heard, my name is Dezie Trigu, and I represent Classrooms for Malawi. I am going to present a case study, a macro case study about a school that we built in Blantyre Rural. But before I did that, allow me to give you a bit of background information about Classrooms for Malawi. We started our work in Malawi in 2012, and we operate across the country. So far, we have reached out to a total of 49 schools. Most of our funding comes from Scottish schools. If you want to know more about us, I would encourage you to visit our Facebook page. Just type in Classrooms for Malawi, or you can visit our website. And before I talk about the macro case study, I would like to share with you that our work that we do is demand-driven, and as a result, we follow a multi-sectoral approach because we want high impact of the work that we do. Eventually, there's no way we can run away from some partnerships. You will see this happening as I start talking about the micro case study that I'm to present. And as we do our work, it revolves around 7 pillars. Briefly, we want to make sure that schools have good quality classrooms, and schools have appropriate hygiene, good teaching learning materials. And of late, we are advocating for school gardens because we feel that if they grow their own maize, school feeding programs are going to be sustainable, unlike the situation at the moment. And most importantly, and indeed in line with COP26, we make sure that as we are building or doing our work, we should be offsetting carbon emissions. Now, talking about the case study itself, the school is known as Kanyeteza and is in Blantyre Rural. We started building this school right from scratch because there was initially nothing else in that area.
I think I'm going to have to jump in. If there's one more speaker at the Malawi side, I think that's 2 minutes. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I'm keen that the last speaker is able to say something in the final minutes that we have. But thank you.
I can be 5 minutes late for my next appointment, David.
Thank you very much, Minister. Back to you, Stella.
Can I go on?
He can continue. The other one will not speak. It's fine.
Okay, thanks so much.
But be quick. Now, thank you so much.
Okay, we started building this school right from scratch, and it's a case study for the impact of thorough needs assessment, positive partnership, and stakeholder participation. To be precise, the school is located near the Shure River, which tells you that it's in an area that is swampy when it rains, and there are so many rivers that cross the area because the rivers flow into the main river, which is the Shure River. And the nearest school to that area then was 5 kilometers away. The same with the nearest health center, which meant that whenever it rained, all the rivers were full and children could not go to school for a period of 2 or 3 weeks. Similarly, people around the area could not access any health services because of the same reason. And I recall that the time we started working there, the health services were mobile and they were being conducted under a tree, which meant again, if it rained, then the services were disrupted. Usually it were the services for antenatal clinics as well as under 5 clinics. Now we started our intervention in 2016, courtesy of Rainfall Council Building Services employees who gave us funds to start building the school. And at the initial stage, we built 3 classrooms. And again, the community.
You have 10 seconds, thank you.
Okay, the community provided us with a piece of land. And later on, Mary's Mills built a kitchen, which meant that we started feeding the children. And quickly, in 2017, the Ministry of Education built 2 more classrooms to make it 5. And in 2019, we built 3 more classrooms to make it a full primary school with 8 classrooms. As I'm speaking to you now, it's now a full primary school. It has got 768 learners. And just last year, 8 students or learners were selected to secondary school. And within the same school, we built a nursery school, within which we had a health room where officials from the Ministry of Health come and they give health services to the people around the community. And because it was in the bush, the area has now opened up. It is like a community hub where people come, convene, and do several activities. Thank you. Let me stop there.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Let me hand over to David. Thank you.
Well, Minister, let us hand over to you. Thank you very much, Stella, and thanks for all the passion from all of those speakers. Minister, I think you've probably got the impression of the challenge of condensing all of that energy, passion, and impact into just 120 seconds. But Minister, any reflections from you before we close?
The last couple of sessions that I've been able to have, both with partner organisations in Malawi, in Zambia, and Rwanda, Pakistan, there has been a similar trend, which has been that time is just not enough to be able to really get the full sense of the incredible work that is ongoing. You know, we've only heard from a snapshot today of the work that is being done across Malawi by both partner organisations, government-funded organisations, privately funded organisations that are doing phenomenal work. And I'm very conscious of the fact that it is just a snapshot. And that is, you know, incredibly heartening to hear. And, you know, I've heard from new organisations today. Yesterday, I was able to hear from others. It just really gives the sense of an incredible amount of work ongoing, and I'm very proud to see that relationship, that partnership continuing to grow, and I hope that we can continue to foster that partnership even through more challenging circumstances that lie ahead. So I really appreciate the opportunity, David. I'm happy if there's a couple of questions that I would be able to answer. I'm happy to try to take them just now before we finish up. But it reinforces for me the need to get out to Malawi to be able to see the work that's going on in person, because it's difficult for colleagues, even with the passion, for us really to be able to get the scale of the work that's ongoing, I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Minister, for all those words of support. You kindly offered to potentially answer a question. Let me very briefly summarise some of what we've seen in the chat box. James Turing, Katrina Connolly and Linda Dembo have asked questions about grants specifically for smaller organisations. I'll just quickly rattle through these, and perhaps just one or two if you wanted to respond to. Barry Clarkson and Katrina Connolly have talked about the importance of working with the NHS, but the challenges for NHS professionals in managing grants. And Linda Dembo at MaSP asked about potential consortia work supported through MaSP for collaborations. Eve Broadus has asked about support for the campaign to certify Mzuzu coffee. Those are, I think, most of the questions that I've seen in the chat box. Minister, if any of those you wanted to come back on now, but if others we can pass to officials. Minister.
Thanks, David. Yeah, on the Mzuzu coffee, we've been typing back and forward privately, so I'm happy to take representation on that and see what I can do offline to look at that in more detail. I think there is a general theme there around grants, and I fully appreciate that. Obviously, the small grants programme was stopped as part of the review last year. I understand that has posed significant challenges. We've been engaging with the Alliance around how we can ensure that Scottish Government support can continue to ensure that smaller organisations continue to flourish, continue to do the fantastic work that you're doing, and what we can do to ensure other opportunities are exploited around continuing some of these smaller programmes. I fully recognise the challenge that there is there, and also the phenomenal work that I've been hearing today that has come about through some of the smaller organisations developing their work. The reasons behind the need to stop the small grants is well rehearsed. However, I think there is a real need to ensure that we continue to do all we can to recognise the fact that it's more than, as I think one of the earlier contributors suggested, it's more than just the larger organisations, the larger NGOs that are delivering phenomenal work on the ground. It's also partnership through smaller organisations too. I'm fully cognizant of that. So let's see how we get on with trying to find other routes by which support can be found for smaller organisations to be able to continue their good work.
Thanks very much indeed, Minister. And just to say, really keen to be involved in those conversations. I saw Katrina coming back in the chat box again. You know, how does smaller organisations be involved in those conversations and hear back? So really look forward to that conversation. We really appreciate the eagerness with which the Scottish Government has listened to some of those concerns and challenges of members, and that desire for constructive conversation.
My strong suggestion, David, would be to channel those conversations through the Alliance, and any issues or concerns that there are. Joanna's popped in the chat box the Alliance consultations opportunity to feed in, so that would be where I would point people. If there are areas or ideas or suggestions, that would be where to go.
Okay, Stella, any words of closing from MaSP?
For us, Minister, this is we are thrilled that you made yourself available to speak to the membership. Honourable Minister, we are looking forward to continued working partnership that we have with the Scottish Government officials, with SNP, and with private Scottish statesmen who come out most of the time to assist us. Honourable Minister, we believe that if we put a lot of effort in building the capacity of our membership, we should be able to have a base of members that are able to deliver high impact projects, as well as members that are able to demand things from the duty bearer. Thank you so much, Honourable Minister. When Mr. Mchenga was speaking, you were able to see that the connectivity was not the best. So those are some of the challenges that we face in this country. And we believe that you are also going to assist us or to work hand in hand in this partnership to ensure that we improve technologically. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Stella. Thank you, Minister, for your time. Thanks, everyone, for being involved. Trying to divvy up 45 minutes across 1,300 members is always going to be a thankless job. My apologies to those who have been cut short, but my thanks to all who have fed in. This is not the end of the conversation, but the beginning. Minister, thanks very much for your time. Look forward to working with you.